The Big Issue. Breaking down the issues that matter.
Hello everyone, you're welcome to Leadership Podcast. It is yet another edition of The Big Issue. I hope you had a very wonderful weekend. And of course, the big issue for the day is President Muhammadu Buhari's refusal to act on the Electoral Act Amendment Bill and matters arising. With me here in the studio to take on the big issue, our in-house analyst, Chibuzo Kaibe and Sunday Soa.
Nice to be here.
Well, we'll be expecting a guest. And of course, our guest for this big issue is the Director of Civil Society Legislative Advocacy, CISLAC, Awal Musa Rafsanjani. While we wait for him to come up, we go into the big issue of the day. President Muhammadu Buhari has refused to act on the Electoral Act Amendment Bill. It was passed by the National Assembly recently. The president has neither assented to the bill nor communicated back to the National Assembly. So it seems. And of course, we have different reports suggesting that he may have signed it. Some reports say he has returned it back to the National Assembly. But the controversy is, why will the president keep back his assent to a bill, a very crucial bill, that borders the life of the country? Is the election, especially as the 2023 general elections approach. President Buhari was expected to sign the bill before the deadline for the signing of the bill expires. But the president has kept more on the bill, keeping Nigeria guessing what should be the next line of action. This is even as the National Assembly members have threatened to override the president's veto. Well, Isuba, I think I'll have to start with you. Buhari has refused to sign this bill into law. What do you think would be the reason for the president's lackadaisical attitude? So I may say, because we don't know his mind whether he is going to sign it or he will return the bill.
Well, at this stage, I'm confused to why the president have not made known his intention to Nigerians concerning that particular bill. This is somebody who have been crying for many years about electoral fraud. He even cried one time in 2011. He cried and even said that he will not contest again, all because the electoral framework was not good. But at the end of the day, he came in as a president in an election where an improvement was made, even without a law backing it up. I mean, the electronic, the use of the card reader. You know, that card reader made the election to be a bit more transparent, and he emerged president. So a lot of people expected that, okay, this man haven't suffered so many alleged, oh yes, it was allegation because he has never proven that in the court of law. But we expected that this man should have, quickly signed this bill. But in 2018, when the 8th Assembly, worked on this bill, and his excuses by not signing it was that it came late and that there were some errors in the bill. These are errors that can be corrected anyway. But he said that if the National Assembly can work on that bill and send it back to him, that he is going to sign it. But that bill, he can't sign it because it was too close to the 2019 general election, and he didn't sign the bill. And this present assembly that is dominated by the All Progressive Congress and a National Assembly that is believed by Nigerians to be working harmoniously with the executive, in which some other people are even calling them rubber stamp. It means that they are in the same page. The president has refused or he has not communicated. Let's not say he has refused to sign it, because the deadline expired yesterday, since the bill was submitted to him on 30th November, and it is expected by our law that the president acts on it or make his intention known to Nigerians concerning the bill within 30 days. 30 days expires yesterday. Today is Monday. We are yet to hear any communication from him concerning the bill. But I don't think Nigerians should be worried if the National Assembly is serious about improving the electoral process, because the National Assembly have the right to override his veto. Since the president have the right to veto it and he refused to act on it, the National Assembly have the right to override him, because it is there in the Constitution, because we have seen in the places of NDDC, when the National Assembly passed that bill, send it to the president under Obasanjo, he didn't act on it, and the National Assembly, both the House of Representatives and the Senate, sat and both got to that from both chambers, and it automatically became law. Today we have NDDC. NDDC is of the same process, and I believe that if the National Assembly really want us to improve, if they want our elections to improve, then they should make sure that by Tuesday, both the House of Representatives and the Senate should make sure that they go to that and make this electoral bill a law, because many believe that this bill will improve our electoral process.
Thank you very much, Isu. Chibuzo heard what Isu was saying. He said the president. The man cried. Even the 2003, 2007, 2011 election where he lost, and was saying that the election process itself is flawed. Now, there are laws put in place to make sure that we remove some of these bottlenecks and some of these fraudulent processes in the electoral process. The president came back to the country last night. Yeah, despite the importance of this very crucial bill to the electoral process, especially when the electioneering season is just around the corner, he has refused to sign. Is the president actually doing the right thing not to have signed this bill?
I think it is obvious that the president isn't going the right path. At least it's better it makes a position of, okay, this is the position we've taken. What is even more troubling or disheartening is that the president decides to just blank, keep Nigeria, just ignore Nigeria. Let me use that word. Because the posture that he has given over this matter is one of, let's say, disregard, or a sense of an I don't careism kind of posture. More like, I don't give a damn. And it is much more appalling, not just because this is somebody like Mr. Clinton who has repeatedly cried over the way he was treated, during previous elections. And only recently he even said, he has an ambition of ensuring that our democratic processes are, strengthened. And now this is the kind of posture he's putting up on a very critical bill like this, a legacy-defining bill. It's appalling, honestly, it's appalling. He's only writing his legacy in a way that he will remember. And I hope he gets to understand that. Because no matter what it is, even if he has communicated to the National Assembly now, the fact that he didn't do that within the time frame is one thing. The fact that he just totally blanked on it, and body language coming out of that place, giving
Nigerians the impression that he's reluctant.
He's reluctant, and he doesn't consider this
a big issue. It's quite worrying. It's a very big issue.
It is.
That is why it is on the big issue for
absolutely. So it is really worrying that he gives a posture like that on this matter. But again, it also shows the way he regards the National Assembly, and maybe uh, by reference or by to stretch it again, it's Nigerians. It is appalling that he could afford to disregard the National Assembly the way he has, which further corroborates that notion that this National Assembly is a rubber stamp. If there is ever a time that notion holds substance, I think it is now. And I say that because if you look at the previous times he refused, he had to handle electoral bill. We saw that in the last Senate. 3 times he found it down. He didn't have to wait for the time to elapse before he took a position. Within the time frame, he was forced to take a position because he knows that that National Assembly was vibrant enough and could have undone him. And so it shows you that this National Assembly has really let Nigerians down. If the president, the executive, can be treating them this way. And it's not just about them now. And that is where it's really painful. These are the way the president treats them reflects the way they have represented Nigeria, which is very, very poor.
Well, thank you, Chibuzo. Before we continue, let's just quickly take a short break. And then once we do that, we are hoping that via will begin to send in their comment, which has actually helped in shaping the conversation on the big issue. Don't go offline. We'll be back in a moment.
For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
The Big Issue. Breaking down the issues that matter.
Welcome back. We are still on the big issue in Leadership Podcast. And of course, the big issue of the day is President Muhammadu Buhari's refusal to act on the Electoral Bill. Well, looks like Issue has said, still the senators are treating it that if the president declines to sign that bill, they will overrule him. But most Nigerians are putting their hands across their cheeks, wondering whether this National Assembly has constituted. Can you override the president's veto? Do you see that coming?
Who will do it?
Why will you say who will do it?
The National Assembly.
This National Assembly.
Why will you say who will do it?
Let's hear what Chibuzo has to say in that.
Yes, I'm listening to it.
Yes.
I do not need to stretch it. The way the president has treated them on this matter indicates the way the president has seen them. The president considers them an apron spring of his administration.
A rubber stamp.
In fact, I think we should even elevate them more than the rubber stamp they have. Because now it appears as if they are almost an attaché of the executive. Because it's the way the president has just treated them, it blanking them out the way he has done, clearly indicates that he doesn't consider them an issue when it comes to the governance,
the process of governance
in Nigeria. Because it's appalling. It's just appalling. 1, 2, this is the same Senate. The Senate president has repeatedly said they are not going to do anything contrary to what the president wants. That he's ready to do the president's bidding. So what can you expect that anything contrary will come out of this? This is the same Senate. About a couple of days ago, a report came out of the Senate that they are not ready to do anything that is going. They're not ready to go to. There was an expression that was used that they are going to abide by what the president's position on this
Well,
matter. So I don't see. I will be pleasantly surprised. Let me use that word. If this National Assembly decides to override the president on this.
Yes, it's true. Before I know you are just too eager to respond to Chibuzo, but let's look at it this way. Many believe that the National Assembly lack that courage to override President Buhari if he refuses to assent to this bill. You know why? Imagine yesterday in Gombe State, where the Senate President was commissioning some project and even commissioning, inaugurating, and then handing over some bikes bought by another senator in the state to indigents of the state. The Senate President said, the National Assembly as it is not ready to shift ground when it has to do with supporting the president. That is the leadership of the National Assembly. And you see, when you talk of the idea of the National Assembly, the lawmakers saying they will override the president, that is, we're talking of some members of the National Assembly.
And there's no face to it. Nobody has openly come up and said it on record, public record, that they are going to override the president. All of them talk from the shadow.
Most of the people making a storm out of a teacup at the National Assembly,
let me tell
are
you,
just the opposition.
They are not shadows.
And the rest.
They are not shadows.
And you think that it appears this National Assembly,
the Senate President that made that statement, the statement was not based on the electoral bill. And when it comes to voting, the Senate President only have one vote. That is if he is going to vote. He only has one vote. And let me tell you, this National Assembly, if they are determined to pass this electoral bill, and the Senate President will want to stand on the way, they may impeach him expressly, because this bill is very crucial to the electoral process. This bill is something that most of the National Assembly members want it to be low, because they believe that it will give them independence and any other Nigerians to aspire for every office that they want to aspire. The lackadaisical attitude of the president to communicate to Nigerians concerning this bill may be coming from external forces. We have seen a leaked letter or a leaked memo of the Minister of the Attorney General of the Federation and the Minister of Justice, where he was advising the president because of indirect primaries. Are we thinking, all right, direct primary is even cheaper than the indirect primaries? What are we talking about? We are in a digital era where political parties should have a register of their members online, where one person can take control and take minutes for every arrangement of direct primaries that the party will do without any expenses involved. So what are we talking about? It is because these politicians who always believe in using money to manipulate the process are thinking that, okay, if it is direct primaries, how much am I going to spend in every local government?
And all the members.
So you can see they are thinking
instead of the delegates.
Yes. So they are not thinking delegates will willingly go and vote for the person they want. So that is why I'm telling you that these people who are opposing this bill, they don't want our electoral process to progress, because they have always been manipulating the process, and it is not easy for them to just allow that manipulation to stop. And I can assure you that the National Assembly members, the opposition leader in the House of Representatives, Ndidi Olumelu, have already made it public that they are ready to override the president. And some senators who are of the APC have told me privately that they are ready to override the president.
Why don't they put their names on record?
They can't put their name on record because this issue is of interest.
Because they do not have the guts to do this.
It's not about having the guts.
The reason why Lumelu is doing this is because he knows that it's an opposition. Because this is going to throw partisan party line. Don't forget.
No.
This is how this thing is going to end up at the end of the day. Where it's going. Yes. The only people speaking up now, trying to be like confrontational about this whole thing. Now, apart from Lumelu that you mentioned, because it's not in the APC. The place is dominated by APC lawmakers. How many of them will have the guts to look the president in the eye? Actually, now that they know that the body language of the president does not seem to align with
Is it about
me?
wait,
Sorry.
how many of them will be bold enough
So that brings me
to take that book by
that
the horn?
brings me to one critical issue I've just observed there. For instance, now we know very well that the president might be doing the biddings of the governors, both the governors under the platform of the governing party and the opposition party. And then look at the whole issue borders on the bill, the mode of primaries. PDP said it will not interfere in the issue about the president's assent to it. And you see, from PDP's reaction yesterday, I think PDP was a bit indifferent about it. And of course, it's like that the opposition party too is not too comfortable with the idea of direct primaries. It's just like the ruling.
The opposition party has been clear that they do not support the legislation on how parties must conduct the election. That is where they start.
That is where the problem lies. Now that even the political parties are somewhat averse to it,
Yeah.
the major problem. What do you think will be the way forward? Because I think this is coming mainly from the governors who know very well that it will whittle their power. And let me tell you, this particular issue of this direct primaries or no direct primaries and the president assenting to the bill is a direct war between the federal lawmakers and the governors. And at the end of the day, the president is caught in the web and in the middle there.
And that is why this would have afforded the president an opportunity to stamp his name in gold. If all needed to do, see, this is he's leaving the seat. This is an opportunity for him to sign his legacy and say, I'm appending to this bill, and everybody go back and ensure that you win the trust of the people before you emerge whoever you want to. The debate about direct and indirect and all of that is neither here nor there. They have their good sides, they have their bad sides. Whichever way you look at it is how the parties or the operators of the mode of primaries is not to make a clear distinction. We've seen direct primaries in this country. We saw what played out in Anambra only recently. We saw what played out in Lagos and Kano and all of those places, and we saw the disaster that came out of it. We are very much conversant with the fraud that plays out with delegate system. It's a fraudulent process. It's the indirect thing. But at the end of the day, it comes back to who operates the system. So that whether you use this or that, it's neither here nor there. The debate can go on
just
forever.
about the legal framework.
The debate can go on forever. However, the issue on ground now is not so much about whether they want to do direct or indirect primaries. For me, there's a critical component in that bill which appears might suffer because of the debate around this whole issue of direct and indirect primary and the president's refusal to append the signature to this, and that is electronic transmission of results. That is the singular most critical thing in that bill.
And not necessarily the mode of primary.
This is the very critical and fundamental part of that bill that shouldn't be allowed to go. And if you watch the trajectory of the debate so far, for me, I would almost want to believe those who think the whole debate about direct and indirect primary was snuck in there to kill that whole process. I am one of those who might be akin to that. Thank God, Iraq in Akwa Ibom has also hinted at that. Because it doesn't make any sense. How could this one singular issue dominate all of that discussion? And don't forget, before now, the electronic transmission thing was the major contentious issue in this bill.
Yes.
And now we thought we have crossed that part.
Suddenly
they snuck in this one, and now we are having to delay.
Because the Garba Shehu presidential spokesman said in Channels Television yesterday that the president will communicate on Tuesday. That we should wait for the National Assembly on Tuesday. So what are you expecting at the National Assembly tomorrow? Well, don't forget that they even had to delay the passage of the budget till this week, which is why they didn't even go to recess.
I'm suspecting the presidency, because if they are saying that the president will communicate on Tuesday, when they had Monday today to communicate, so who knows when they are going to communicate on Tuesday? They may communicate in the evening when the National Assembly have already closed their sitting. So you see, the presidency is complicit of what is happening. And if this communication comes in the morning, then the National Assembly may take a critical decision that very Tuesday or Wednesday.
Well, that is the much we can take for the big issue of the day. Thank you for keeping tab with us out there. And of course, you've heard it all. The president's refusal to assent to the Electoral Act Amendment Bill. Well, the issue is still at stake. Events are unfolding. Tomorrow, the National Assembly will be sitting. And as they sit, let's wait and see what happens. And of course, I will not fail to thank our in-house analysts for doing a very wonderful job on addressing the big issue. Join us same time tomorrow for another edition of this program. Have a wonderful day.